Guys, I just spent 17 minutes recording this video right here with no mic on. I was talking to myself for 17 minutes solving these freaking problems. Okay. Woosah. Need to get myself together here. Okay. Let's try this again. With a working mic this time. Here are your review answers. Guys, I hope you're ready for your test tomorrow. Again, I get kind of excited for this stuff because I want to see what you guys have learned after the hard work that you guys have put in. So it's a good opportunity for us to see that, and that's all it is. It's definitely not meant to tear you guys down or anything like that. This is a cool thing. So let's go ahead and go over these answers real quick so you guys can see how you did. Maybe improve on some of the mistakes that you've made. I definitely am improving on the mistakes I made. Like make an entire video where you can't hear me. Anyway, let's jump right into it. Problem number 1. Select 3 expressions that represent the shaded portion of the following diagram. All 4 of those blocks are shaded in. It's a little hard to see there. But that is 4 out of 5 total blocks there. That's 4/5. It's going to be that fraction there. So definitely not 3/5. But then we have to find out what it is as a decimal or a percentage. And luckily for us, the 80% or 0.8 are the same, and 60% and 0.6 are the same. So as soon as we figure out what this is as a decimal or percent, we'll have the rest of our answers. What I would probably do is turn this into a decimal first, real quickly. I love just simply dividing any fraction that you have. If you just divide it, 4 divided by 5 will tell you exactly what that decimal is. 5 goes into 40 8 times, which is 40. Done. 4/5 is 0.8 or 8/10 as a decimal. And that decimal is right there. So it's obviously not 0.6. And it's obviously not 60% either, because to turn a decimal into a percent, all you do is kick it over 2 places to the right. So 0.8 would actually be 80% as a decimal. Is problem number 1. Problem number 2. Your family went to dinner and the bill came to $60. If your family leaves a $12 tip, what percent tip did they leave? Okay, now this one can be set up using the percent proportion. Okay, and this is exactly how you should set it up. You don't know the percent, but you know that percents are out of 100, and you do know that it's $12 out of 60, right? It's $12 out of the $60 bill. We don't know the percentage. That's the missing piece. So what Miss Edwards' kids, you guys have practiced. I'm sure you have practiced. She's a big fan of kind of early introduction to the percent proportion and cross multiplying and dividing. And you can do that. 12 times 100 and then divide by 60, you'll get your answer. Straight up. It's great. I, on the other hand, am still kind of leaning with my kids back on what we learned in the ratios chapter that we last did. And we're going to follow that process really quick here. It's a little bit more arduous, but I do like this method. And if we take 60 and get it to something, because we can't get 60 to 100 in one step of multiplication, but we can if we divide it down by 3 to get it to 20, and then multiply it up by 5 to get it to 100, and create a ratio or an equivalent ratio here, and find out that 20 over 100 is equivalent to 12 over 60. So this would actually be our percentage right here. It would be 20% tip, which is a good tip. Based on problem number 2, we're on problem number 3. What would be your total bill with tip or gratuity? And I'm sure that you guys have been talked to a lot. I know mine have, about when you go out to eat, you pay for your meal, but you also got to pay the tip and gratuity. You add that together, right? That's $60 plus the $12 tip. That's $72. Number 4. Put these in order from least to greatest. If you've seen my videos before, which you have, and if we come across problems like this, I throw fractions out the window. A lot of you guys would like that. But I would turn every number here into a decimal. If I can get numbers to decimals, are way easier to compare. Fractions, you have to have common denominators, and that gets really tedious and really annoying. And me and Miss Edwards are all about efficiency here. Right? We don't want to make things hard on you guys. We just want you to be really good at it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the 7500, so I'm going to leave it alone. The 72%, really easy to turn into a decimal because all you gotta do is kick that decimal over 2 places to the left. So it would be 0.72. 7/10 is 7/10 as a decimal. It's 0.7. And if we wanted to make it comparable to the other ones, we would just put a little 0 on the end of it. It would be 70 hundredths. It's the same thing, but it allows us to compare 0.75, 0.72, and 0.70 a little bit easier. Now, 2/25 is a little bit tricky one. It's actually a really small fraction, so going into this one, you guys might already know the answer to this. But 2/25 can be turned into a decimal several different ways. I think a really good way here would just be to take, because I know that 25 will get to 100 real easily, just times 4 and do the same thing here. Then 2/25 is equivalent to 8 hundredths, and 8 hundredths is 0.08 as a decimal. So now I have 4 decimals here. All I gotta do is put them in order from least to greatest. The smallest one, they're all in hundredths. The smallest one, 75 hundredths, 8 hundredths, 70 or 72. 8 is the smallest out of all these 8 hundredths. So I'm gonna actually just gonna get rid of those 2 answers right there. It's gonna be one of these two. After 8 hundredths or 2/25, the next smallest number is going to be the 70 hundredths. So it's gonna be 7/10. Both of those have 7/10. So it still could be either one. And then the next smallest one will be 72 hundredths, and then the biggest will be 75 hundredths. So 72% will be our next one. This one's going to be our answer for number 4. Number 5, 90% of the 8th grade class attended the field trip to Washington, D.C. Out of 140 students in the 8th grade, how many students attended the field trip? Great question here, guys. But before we even go in trying to solve this one, let's think rationally about this. 90% is a huge percentage. It's almost all of something, right? And if you've got 140 kids, that means almost all of the kids. Not all of them, because it's not 100%, but almost all of them went on the DC trip. So start guessing, right? Like what, somewhere around like almost all of 140 would be like 120, 130, somewhere in there, close to 140. That's my thought. So if I look down at answers down here, there's 2 of them immediately that don't make much sense to me. 200, terrible answer because there's only 140 kids. 90 also doesn't look like a really good answer to me either, because if I'm thinking in my head, it's almost all of this. 90 isn't almost all of 140. So the only 2 good answers are 120 and 126, and those are too close to call, right? So I'm going to have to actually do the math here and figure it out. You can set up a proportion here to find out, or you can use my favorite method to find percent of a number, and that is to multiply 90% times 140. The problem is you can't multiply by a percent because a percent isn't a number, it's a percent. So you have to turn the percent into a number. And my kids have gotten a lot of good practice with it, and I'm sure Miss Edwards has shown you guys. You can turn 90% into a decimal by kicking it over 2 places to the left. That is 0.9. So if I do 140 times 0.9, this will tell me exactly what 90% of 140 is. 9 times 0, 9 times 4 is 36, and 9 times 1 is 9, plus 2 is 1, 2. Move the decimal over 1 spot because it's 1 spot in my problem, and the answer is 126, and I feel real confident picking that one right there because it's an answer on there and it looks reasonable. Number 6, 40 is 20% of what number? 20 over 100. Oh, we've got it down here. 21 over 100 percents are always over 100. 40, we don't know what the whole is, right? But we know that 40 is the 20%, and that's how you always know, I think, if you put them on top of each other. If it says that 40 is 20, then you know that those are going to go on top of each other, right? And not some weird different direction. The only thing we don't know is the big part, right? We know it's going to be pretty large because 20% is a pretty small percent, so this number is going to be pretty big. So 20 times 2 will get me to 40, and 100 times 2 will get me to 200. Now, does it make sense to say that 40 is 20% of 200? Yeah, because 20% is a pretty small percentage, so that would be a pretty small number out of 200. Looks good to me. I feel confident about that answer of 200. Number 7, what is 26% of 360? Now, we have a proportion set up on here, but guys, I'm going to default every single time I gotta find percent of a number. Unlike this one up here where it's not finding percent of a number, where we already know the percent, we have to do this. But if you're finding percent of a number, if I say what is 26% of 360, boom, right off the bat, I'm multiplying those two together. Just gotta turn that, make sure you turn that into a decimal, right? That's 0.26. And all I got to do is multiply those two together, and I'm going to get my answer nice and efficiently. I do know that 26 is a pretty small percentage, so it's actually going to be something quite small compared to 360. So let's see if we get a decent answer here. So here, 36, 21, 0, 12, and 7. 9,360. Obviously, that's silly. Forgot to put my decimal right 2 places here, so I'm gonna kick it over 2 places. And again, we get 93.6. It's pretty small compared to 360, so that actually gives me some confidence going into this. Now let's just check and see. Ooh, we've got a lot of answers actually really close to this. But the fact that I did get 93.6, I do feel confident about it. Even though all of these are kind of reasonable answers, I'm going with the 93.6. Almost. Number 8. For dinner at Olive Garden, you decide to leave a 20% tip. Great tip. It's a good tip. Your subtotal is shown. Using estimation about how much we leave a tip, this is something that we as adults do all the time. Guarantee, right? Ask your parents about it. If you leave a tip, they probably not leaving exact tips. For me, I just try to do it quick and easy in my head. Some people are pretty, like to be accurate, and that's totally okay. But it's also really nice to be able to do things like this quick and easy in your head. I'm gonna round this to 85 bucks. And I know that if I don't want to find 20% of something, all I got to do is multiply by the percent as a decimal. So real quickly, I can just do 85 times 0.2. Right? Now we have it set up as a percentage, or a proportion, which you can use. And Miss Edwards, kids, if you're using that proportion predominantly, and you still have questions about this, please ask us. We'll definitely help you out with that. But we're going to multiply 85 times 0.2 here, 0, and 8 times 2 is, or I'm sorry, put the 1 up here, 16 and 17 there, and we move our decimal over 1 spot, we get 17. Now here's the cool thing about this. If you happen to, on this problem, round this 84, 85 down to 80 bucks, or you rounded it up to 90, you would have either gotten 16 or 18. And the only even reasonable one right here would be an answer of 17. So if you did round a little bit differently, it's totally okay, guys. The only reasonable one here would be about a $17 tip if we're talking about 20%. Number 9, based on your answer from question number 8, what is the total cost of you eating out? We're using our subtotal from here, and we're gonna add our tip to the total bill because it's not included. We're gonna add $17 here to tell our waiter or waitress, hey, thank you for your service. You did a great job tonight. You made us have a good time. Kept our drinks filled, got our food to us on time, and we're pleasant. Here you go. Here's 17 bucks. Add that up. Whew. It's an expensive dinner. Sometimes it's totally worth it though. And if you work real hard and do good in school, you guys will have $101.85 to spend on a night out as well. Okay, I'll shut up. 101.85. This one's going in the plant. Oh, so close. Number 10. In a survey, 40 students were asked what their favorite snack was. Oh, 40 kids, right? Most kids chose granola bar. Fruit snacks all the way. What percent of students chose cheese sticks as their favorite snack? We're trying to find percentage here. So if we look at cheese sticks, it's 8. So 8%, right? What? No, percents are out of 100, and this is out of 40. So we need to get this to a fraction first and foremost because of the information that we have. We know this is out of 40 kids, and we know that 8 of them chose cheese sticks. That's 8 out of 40 right there. Now we need to get this to a percentage. So we got to turn it into, we got to get this denominator to 100. Now I know that 40 will not go straight to 100. You can't multiply 40 by something to get to 100. But you can do it with 20. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some little magic here. Use what I know about ratios. Divide this by 2. And I'm going to get 4/20. Now, it can get to 100, and I can figure out what this is as a percentage, right? Because 20 times 5, 4 times 5, and I get 20 out of 100, which would be 20%. And if I look at 8 out of 40, that seems like 20%, right? Because 8 is a small number of 40, 20% is a small percentage. So I feel comfortable with this answer. 80% will be a terrible answer, right? That 80% will be most of the kids. Most of the kids did not choose cheese sticks. 8% is a really tiny percent, meaning like only a few kids. It was a little bit more than that, right? So the only two reasonable ones here are 15 or 20, and we found out that 20 is mathematically the one we're looking for. Number 11. There were 112 students in the 6th grade. This is 32% of all the students in Central. How many total students are in Central? We have the percentage, right? And we have 112. We don't know what this number is. But before we go and we start to answer this question, guys, let's take a look at the answers and see what's reasonable. If we're talking only about the 6th grade students, and that's 32% of the kids, isn't there going to be a lot more kids than that in the total school? Answers like 35 students or 30 students would be ridiculous, because 35 students in the whole school, that makes no sense if you're telling me there's 112 6th graders. Same with 30. So the only two answers here that are going to make any sense are 350 and 300. Now, Miss Edwards' kids are going to benefit a lot here from this cross multiply and divide, but you can still get your answer multiplying across here, I believe. That's a little bit tricky. It's going to be times like 3.5, I believe. So it's 96 and then 16. Yeah, it's going to be times 3.5 to get it up here. So let's go ahead and let's use the cross multiply and divide method here. This is going to be 100 or 11,200. I'm going to multiply or divide by 32. And this is an annoying problem. Thank you, Miss Edwards. This is a good problem. 32 will go into 112 3 times. It's 96 with 16 left over. And then we go down, and then 32 will go into 160. And I love doing this right now because I need you guys to see that the long division for us isn't always a cakewalk either. I'm going to say 4 times will be 128. 5 times will be 160. And then 32 goes in. So our answer is going to be 350 total students in the building. And then I found that out by doing 112 times 100 and then dividing it by 32. And again, my kids, you have not seen that yet. It's a quick, easy way. I promise I'm going to look over the test to make sure that you guys aren't confronted with something too intense there. But this is a great way to solve the problem as well. Number 12. I want to get the new Apple Watch, and it costs originally $280. Today it is on sale for 30% off of the original price. How much will I save today if I buy the watch? What I need to do here is find what a discount is. And in order to find discounts, you find percent of a number. So right back to a really cool way to solve these is take percent, multiply it by the number. So that's 280 times 30%. You can't multiply by percent, you got to turn to decimals. So that's 0.3, 0.30, but 0.3 to be a little bit easier. So we multiply through here. 8 times 3 is 24, and 6, 7, 8, and move the decimal over one spot. 30% of $280 is $84, right? Now, normally you got to be careful with some types of these questions because it might ask you what is the cost of the watch with the sale price, right? What is the sale price of the watch? So you'd actually have to subtract 280 minus 84, but this actually says how much will you save? So it's really just asking you how much do you get to take off of the cost of the watch? That's what you get to take off right there. The answer is $84. Based on your answer for question number 4, what is the sale price? What I was just alluding to, right? We're actually going to take the original cost, 280, and we're going to subtract the discount, which is 84. And if we subtract here, we get 90 or 196 for the sale price. 280 minus 84 to give you 196, and that's how you find answer number 13. Number 14. Compare and complete the statement to make the inequality true. 5/8 is less than, greater than, or equal to 62%. Again, comparing and using fractions, not a good idea. I'm going to go ahead and turn this into a percentage in order to compare these two. It's going to be a little bit easier. So I'm going to take 5/8 and immediately just divide it. I'm just going to do 5 divided by 8. That's how I always start with fractions, just to get them to decimals, and then we'll go from there. 8 goes into 50 6 times, which is 48. 8 goes into 20 2 times, which is 16. And 8 goes into 45 times. So we get 6.625 for this one. And honestly, you could, it doesn't matter if this keeps going on forever or not, which it doesn't, it stops here. But to turn this into a percentage, all you have to do is kick that decimal over 2 places to the right. So 0.625 would actually be 62.5%. So 62.5% over here is actually 0.5% more than 62. So you would actually say this is greater than. And if you converted a different way, you still have a question, let us know. But turning them into percents or decimals is always easier than fractions. Number 15, compare and complete the statement below. Same type of question. I'm going to take this 2/3 and turn it into a decimal immediately. 3 goes into 26 times, which is 18. And I got 20 again. 3 goes into 26 times, which is 18. And that's going to be... it's just going to keep going on forever, right? It's going to be 0.6 repeating. But that gives me enough information to know that this is more than this, right? This would end up with a 0 on the end. So 0.66 is bigger than 0.60. We know that this is also going to be greater than. This one's going in. Number 16. From a survey, here are the results of students' favorite flavored ice cream. Anything other than mint chocolate chip is wrong. So the survey is complete trash. I'm just kidding. Don't tell Miss Edwards I said that. Vanilla 30%, chocolate 20%, strawberry 10%, other flavors. That's where your mint chocolate chip comes in. What percent of the students selected other flavors? Well, it doesn't tell us. But out of all of the kids surveyed, percents are always out of, that's right, class, 100. So 30%, 20%, and 10% would all add up to 60%. Meaning that if this represented 60% of the kids, then the other flavors would have to be 40%, because percents are out of 100. And last but not least, number 17, based off your answer for number 16, if there are 2,700 students, how many students chose other flavor category, right? So 40%, a little bit less than half. Oh, what's a little bit less than half of? That's close to 3,000. 1,500? 1,200? I'm going to guess 1,200. Honestly, there's only one that looks close to 1,200, and that's 1080. I bet that's the answer. 108 students, way too low. That's not 40%. 2,700 students, no way, dude. That's all of them. That's 100%. Which I should have picked mint chocolate chip. 675 students, it's a little low. I think the only reasonable answer is 1080 there. Let's find out. To find 40% of 2,700, easy. 2,700 times 0.4, because that's what 40% is at a decimal. So 0, 0, 28 there. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10. Oh, man. Oh, man. Are you kidding me? Done. Guys, good luck.